Way beyond the ruined remains of Raccoon City, there lies a mysterious image that's at odds with its surroundings. Just barely visible in the skyline is what looks like a large building, park bench, and even a pond with a floating swan. A stark contrast with the desolate wasteland of a city destroyed almost 30 years ago. In my last video, I was puzzled as to what this could be, and thanks to a few helpful viewers, we now know this is a Skybox image that's commonly used in some RE Engine games. But that's not all, it's actually a photograph of the Kensington Gardens in the UK. The park bench, the walking paths, that palatial building in the background, even the swans can all be found by taking a look through images of the park online. So, mystery number 1 solved. If you haven't seen the first video, I go through Resident Evil Requiem with freecam tools that let me move the camera anywhere in the game, including places the devs didn't intend for you to see. In that one, I covered the whole game from start to finish, but this video is a little bit different. I'm going to cover viewer requests, give you updates on some open mysteries, and a few surprises I found when doubling back through the game. Oh, and Harry's back. Let's not make a big deal out of it. Let's start in Grace's flashback, where I showed that flipping around to see her laptop screen, which confirms she's a Redditor. You can read an entire thread on her screen discussing the Baker family incident from Resident Evil 7. What's crazy though is that the subreddit here, called Amateur Journalists, actually exists, along with the very same thread that Grace is reading here. It looks like some fans decided to recreate this on Reddit, going so far as to even make some of the accounts shown on Grace's screen. I really love seeing fans do a fourth wall break here and run with it, since, you know, wall breaking's kinda what I'm doing. The subreddit's got a few other threads there too, and it looks like it's acting as sort of a fanfiction spot now, which is pretty damn cool. One other thing I want to show you in Wrenwood are the crows that startled Grace on her approach to the hotel. Looking at these things close up shows us kind of an insane level of detail. These are beautifully modeled, but what really caught my eye are their eyes. If you zoom in really closely, you can actually see the buildings in the background reflected in their eyes. Now, I'm clearly not in game development, and maybe this is a really mundane thing to those folks, but I just found this little detail stunning. And then there's this cop's head glitching out off camera because, you know, contrast is important. Next up, let's look at this scene where Gideon starts to interrogate Leon. Leon breaks free, and before he can really confront him, Gideon escapes, and this is the last we see of him for now. People were wondering where Gideon escapes to, and it's this blank room right here. It doesn't look like this room is used for anything but this scene, and it isn't otherwise connected to the rest of the care center. Gideon's model just stands here for a bit before being unloaded. Now, one thing I love about making a follow-up video like this is that you all comment with stuff that I never would have thought to check, and it gives me an excuse to go back in and explore again. One of those things was, what does Leon type when he's trying passwords on Gideon's computer? I didn't even realize he was pressing individual keys. I grew up with PlayStation 1 graphics, so the fact that something like this even exists still kind of blows my mind. Sometimes I feel like an 18th century farmer that fell into a wormhole and ended up in the future.
Times Square. He is freaking out.
Anyway, here's what Leon types. Is he stupid? Moving on to Raccoon City, one thing I kinda skipped by was the Mizoil gas station from the opening of Resident Evil 2. Here we can find Leon's rusted out Jeep, still there after almost 30 years. No sign of Claire's bike anywhere though. Now, revisiting the RPD, where it all began for Harry in Resident Evil 2, there are a few things worth pointing out that stuck around from the game. In RE2, you need to collect 3 medallions to open up stairs to a secret room underneath the station. Taking the camera into this space shows us the stairs and the shell of the room, complete with the bookcases and a ruined floor texture. We also walk by the blocked-off safety deposit room. Taking the camera inside, we can see the lockers and the machine used to open them. And then here's the corner reception room where we can still see the bloody shutter from the scene where Leon saves half of a cop. And then here are some alternate angles of Tofu, who you can sometimes see roaming around outside the station. It pretty quickly just phases in and out of existence, just for the Easter egg. Next up, I want to show you something that you don't strictly need freecam to see, but it's a lot easier to appreciate from a different angle and slowed down. Resident Evil games are known for paying special attention to weapons handling animations, and Requiem is no different. Here we can see when Grace aims, she quickly reverses the grip on her flashlight so that she can easily aim it together with the gun, and when relaxing, she quickly flips it back. Then there's several different reload animations. So first, if you completely expend the magazine, she'll eject and load another. But if you have any bullets remaining, she takes the time to eject the mag, load another, and then she puts the original one in her pocket. It's a really subtle detail, but a really good one. This is survival horror after all, and every bullet counts. There's a bunch more I could nerd out about on the gun animations, but that's not really what the video is about, so I'll contain myself. People were asking what happens to Leon off camera when Zeno shoots him in the head. Given we see Zeno shooting BSAA soldiers earlier with the same gun, and their heads explode like watermelons at a Gallagher show, you think maybe the same thing would happen to Leon, but of course it doesn't. He's too pretty. Oh, and here's Leon's phone number, just don't give it to Gideon.
Is it for me?
Then we have the post-credits scene where we see one of the bad guy soldiers talk about securing an objective. And one of them seems to pick something up that we can't see, and that something is nothing. He picks up nothing. Then this guy next to him isn't even looking at anything on his tablet. Really needs to clean that screen though, look at all those smudges. One question came up again and again in the comments, and that's what happens to the commander, or HUNK. After Leon kills him, some players noted that his body had vanished when they went back to look for it. It's a bit odd since the bodies of the other soldiers you killed earlier still remain there. This one was pretty tricky to get on camera because it seemed like as long as the free cam was looking at him, he'd still be there. But if I moved it away for more than a second, suddenly he was gone. Eventually I got Leon to open the door leading to the next room while I still had an angle on the free cam, and that's when I caught the model unloading. So no, he doesn't get up and run away or anything. Still, given the weirdness around the unloading of this model, I think Capcom may have been hinting that he's still alive and it's not the last we'll see of him. Let's take a look at one spot everyone's been asking about, room 202. Something's always felt a bit off about it, the way the door is partially cracked open, revealing a creepy old cardboard cutout that just peeks out at you from the darkness. There's been rumor that there's some yet unfound secret here, perhaps related to the final puzzle, the obscure and difficult to solve secret that was driving people crazy after the game's release. Taking the camera in here reveals nothing. We can fully see the cardboard cutout, the floor texture, and that's really it. Even clipping Grace through the wall here doesn't cause anything unloaded to suddenly become visible. If there's a secret here, it's still hiding, though honestly at this point I think the room might just be a room. And since this one dips into conspiracy theory territory, I'll give you one more that's pretty weird. So Nathan Dempsey is Grace's boss, the one who put her on the Renwood case. On his desk at the start of the game, just out of frame, is this letter with a red wax seal. The kind that looks more at home on a Victorian writing desk than in an FBI office. And I kinda just noted it and moved on. But then I found the exact same letter on Spencer's desk in art, where Gideon and Zeno were running their operation. Given that we know they deliberately arranged for Grace to be assigned to this case, it makes you wonder a little more about Nathan's intentions and his connection to all this. And maybe it's nothing, but it is the same letter. So drop a comment if you spotted something I missed, or if you have a theory about that letter, because I'm genuinely curious what people make of it. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.